is the condenser that would assist you in condensing. So either hand condenser or this kind of condenser, you need to deliver force into the gold to condense it. But then again, like what I told you, if you're using hand condenser, you need to use the mallet. This is the gold mallet. The assistant will deliver force using this mallet into the end of the instrument. That is the one that is needed for condensation. So again, the condensers, the one that I showed you, these are the instruments that are designed to deliver forces of condensation into the direct golds. So the condensers can be used for the handpiece of electromallet or pneumatic mallet. So this is what it used to be when you're using electromallet or pneumatic mallet. Mas maliit siya. Okay? So it has the shank that fits into the handpiece. So it's only about 1 inch or 2.5 cm. It fits into the electric malleting handpiece. And then the working end, that's the nib or the working tip. So if you're using naman the hand mallet, longer will be the hand mallet because it has the handle. Kasi di ba nakita nyo, the electric condensers, only 1 inch and then the nib. This one, if you're using the hand malleting machine, no, the hand mallet technique, so longer will be the instrument, around 6 inches will be the handle. And then the working end will be there also. So you need the longer handle because this is the one that will allow you to hold it. If you're the dentist, you need to hold this kasi you don't have the machine. Eh. And then you need to deliver. So the assistant would need to deliver light blows using the hand mallet. That is what is used to condense gold foil as well as electrolytic precipitate gold. Okay? Now look at the condenser nib. So the condenser nib is the working end of the condenser. So the condenser, the end of the condenser, the tip, it's not smooth. It's actually serrated. So why do we have the serration? So the serration, it is present to prevent slipping on the gold. So that during condensation, parang sa amalgam, di ba? There is prevention of the slipping of the instrument against the material if there is serrations. So it will give friction. And then the condenser, it comes in different shapes and sizes. So what are the different shapes? It can be round end, or it can be parallelogram like this for the gold, or it can be rectangle. So if it is the round condenser, it's actually the smallest among the different condensers. How? Because it's only about 0.4 to 0.55 mm in diameter. It's actually the smallest size, the round condenser. Now, the rectangular will be medium-sized, or actually it's the largest, the Varney foot, or the rectangular face. It's 1 to 1.3, the greatest width. And then the parallelogram will be at the middle, the size. No? So the parallelogram is moderate in size. It's about 0.5 to 1 mm. So which are we going to use? Are we going to use the round, the parallelogram, or the rectangle? So again, it depends. So what they advocate is this. Okay? So, kasi we have this principle, just like in amalgam. The smaller the tip is, the greater is the force per pound square inch. Okay? Take note of that, ha? The smaller the tip of the condenser is, whether it's for amalgam or gold, the smaller the working end is, the more concentrated is the force delivered onto the restoration. So it gives more force compared to when it's bigger. Kasi when it's bigger, so distributed will be the force over a larger area. So less is the force that you generate. So what we recommend is, ganito yan. So in a restoration, like in amalgam, when you are feeling and condensing on the light angles and the point angles, it's important that you use the smallest or the small. But when you are on the surface, it is advised that you use the bigger size condenser. Because when you are on the surface and you use the small tip, instead of compacting the gold in a better manner, you're just punching holes on the gold. Instead of compacting it, you'll just be generating voids. So that good is a condensation. So they advise, as you go on the surface, switch into a bigger size so that you can condense effectively on the surface. Okay? Yan. So smaller condensers again, on the surface, they would just punch the holes. So they are not effective on the surface. So on the inside, they are very effective against line angles, point angles. They can condense the gold better in there. Now, overall, when you do compaction of the gold, when you do condensation of the gold, you are basically welding the gold to become cohesive mass. So through condensation, you can weld, you can do cold welding of the gold. And also, through condensation, you can wedge as much as gold as possible into the tooth preparation. What do we mean by this? When we say wedging, it results from careful compacting technique. But however, take note of this, whatever technique you're using, there will be some bridging that will occur, meaning there will be void spaces. So wedging is prevented. You know the gold density of gold? Diba? Wedging is generated. A good density of restoration is generated when you do good condensation. But the problem is, whatever technique you're using with the gold, there will be some bridging that will occur. When you say bridging, there will be some void spaces inside the restoration. Okay? But your goal is, with good condensation technique, minimize the number of voids, particularly on the surface and on the margins. Because if there will be some spaces on the margins, if there will be some bridging that occurs on the margin, it can be resulting to micro leakage. Okay? So good condensation is really needed for the successful restoration. So to continue again, through condensation or through compaction, you can provide wedging of the gold with minimal voids. Also, you can do cold welding of the gold. Okay, so this is what we mean by cold welding. You can attach, you can combine the pieces of gold, cold welding. So that is through condensation. Now, to add more, aside from wedging, aside from cold welding of the gold, through condensation, yun nga, wedging, you can remove most of the spaces or air in the gold. Also, you can compact the gold into the line and the point angles and against the walls of the cavity preparation. That is condensation. So now, very quickly, let's review what will be the compaction technique if you're using gold foil. So after degassing or annealing, the piece of gold, let's say for example, this is your piece of gold now that you have degassed. So if this is class 5, example lang, if this is class 5, the gold, the increment of gold is first pressed into place by hand. So you use your gloved hand, which is still clean, to press the gold on one portion. Particularly, what they advise is on one of the point angles. So like here, the gold is placed initially here. And then, what you do next is you get a condenser of suitable size. Siguro start with a smaller condenser, right? And then, since you're using gold foil, if you're using the hand technique, the manual technique, you get the condenser of correct size and mallet. Using a mallet, your assistant will do the malleting together with you holding the condenser. So where do you start? You start at the middle portion. So this is the first part you'll be doing the malleting. Okay? Now, the next step, it must be stepping technique. Meaning, if you started the condensation with this one, the next condensation technique must be overlapping the previous one. This is to guarantee that you have condensed all the parts of the gold. So you don't jump from here to there. That's not a good technique. So what they encourage is the stepping technique. Stepping technique. Okay? Yan. Now, the problem is, gold moves under the nib face of the condenser. So just make sure, kaya nga, you know what, it's important for the gold? Sharp must be the internal line angles. Because the sharp internal line angles and point angles, this would help assist in the placement of the gold. Kaya gold, remember this, direct gold, sharp must be the internal line angles. And during condensation, the force of condensation must be delivered 45 degrees to the cavity walls and floor. So it's always at 45 degrees. Bisect the line angles like this. Or if it's a point angle, trisect the point angle. So this is the first, or this is the technique for condensation of the gold. This is to ensure that there is maximum adaptation of gold to the point and line angles. And also, when you do the condensation at 45 degrees, this will be friendlier to the pulp and dentine. Kasi you know what, the condensation, it's a mechanical irritation to the pulp. So to lessen, take note of that, to lessen the mechanical irritation to the dental pulp during condensation, what they recommend, 45 degrees must be your approach of condensation. Always bisect the line angles or trisect the point angles. In that direction, minimal is the irritation to the pulp, and also maximum is the adaptation to the walls and the point angles and the line angles. So that's for the gold foil. Now, what about if you're using the easy gold, the powdered gold? So for the powdered gold, after degassing or annealing, you don't need the mallet. So the first increment of easy gold, you press it into one point angle, no? And just stamp it into position using your hand, something like that. So what you do is, you get the small condenser and thrust and wedge the gold into the opposing line angles and against the walls. So you don't need the malleting force if it is easy gold. Just condensation using heavy hand pressure. That's it. That's the only difference between gold foil and gold powder. Now, to avoid creation of large void spaces in the restoration, if you're using the easy gold, a dense, fully condensed surface is obtained with each pellet before you add another piece of gold. Make sure you properly condense before adding another increments. So that's about feeling. Now, I will be discussing some important points for cavity preparation. So for the outline form, because gold, it shows the margin, right? Like for example, here you can see the margin if it's class 5. So very important is the outline form to be very smooth without the ragged margins. This is to ensure aesthetically pleasing restoration. And also, when the margin is smooth, at least good adaptation of the gold to the tooth is facilitated. Okay? And then, just like in amalgam, the outline form, the margins must be on sound areas of the tooth that you can access for convenience form, and also it must be in areas that is self-cleansing. Diba remember the principle of extension for prevention? So the margins of your preparation must be in sound tooth structure, also in self-cleansing areas, just like in amalgam. And the outline form must include all the defects. So caries, completely remove them. Or if you have hypomineralization, include also in the preparation. All the weakened tooth structure must be included. And then again, very important and very crucial, the marginal outline must be aesthetically pleasing because the margin it shows. So for class 5, this is the typical class 5. What's the shape? It's trapezoidal in design. Usually it's trapezoidal. It's not saucer shape, no? Why is that so? Because we need the sharp line angles. Okay? Yeah, so sharp line angle, this is very needed. Also, through the trapezoidal design, aesthetic is enhanced. It's more aesthetic compared to when you do it saucer shape like this. Okay, so for gold, trapezoidal, you need the sharp internal line angles for retention and resistance form. Actually, these sharp internal line angles, they are important for the retention of the gold, also for the resistance form. So for class 5, how deep should be the cavity preparation? So the cavity preparation, it depends. Oh, look at this, ha. The occlusal half of your preparation, because thicker is the enamel here, it must be 1 mm deep. While on the cervical half, because here the enamel is very, very thin, right? So kayo na mag-adjust, because if you make it 1 millimeter, you'll be close to the pulp. So on the cervical half, it has to be 0.5 mm only. And very important, make sure the eggshell wall is in the dentine. It's not in enamel. Because the gold, it's a metal, it cannot be supported by enamel. So the seat of your restoration must be in the dentine. Take note of that. So for the gold, just like in amalgam, the seat of the restoration, the floor, must be in the dentine, not in enamel. And when you look at the walls must be parallel with the surface contour of the tooth. So it's parallel to the surface there, also there. Also on the walls, you see it's parallel to the external surface. So these are the different important things that you need to know about the outline form. So what about the retention? Aside from the sharp internal line angles and point angles, where can we get the primary retention form for gold class 5? So you need a little bit of the undercuts. So where do we place the undercuts in this preparation? So undercuts must be placed on this area, on the eggshell wall to the gingival floor. So the junction between the eggshell wall, let's say for example, this is your class 5. The junction of your eggshell wall, yan, to the gingival floor, it has to be acute, less than 90 degrees. So this is the one that will provide retention. The acute line angle, eggshell wall to gingival wall. This is the one that will provide retention. Parang you have a little bit of undercut on this region, right? So that's where the retention form. And then mesial wall, example, mesial and distal wall to the eggshell wall, no, do not make it acute. It has to be obtuse, meaning, okay, kunyari dito, so it has to be like this. Paano ba? Teka. So coming from, ayan, occlusal view, yan, mesial, eggshell, it has to be obtuse because if you make it acute like this, you're gonna have a little bit of undercut there. So this will be prone to fracture. The tooth will be unsupported. It will be prone to fracture. And then here, occlusal wall to the eggshell wall, it has to be right angle. You don't need to make it acute or obtuse. Just right angle, that's the correct relationship. So basically, where do we get the retention? The retention is in this wall. Eggshell wall to gingival wall. If you make it acute. Okay, resistance form. How do we ensure that the restoration and the tooth will never fracture? So these are the features of the retention form for direct gold. So whenever possible, the preparation wall of your tooth, okay, must be oriented to support the integrity of the tooth. So basically, almost the same with amalgam, flat pulpal floor. So flat pulpal floor means the floor is oriented at 90 degrees to the long axis of the tooth, to the occlusal forces. So it can better resist the masticatory forces. Okay? And just like in amalgam, all enamel rods must be supported by elastic dentine. So unsupported enamel must be removed in the preparation, just like amalgam. And the walls, it has to be really smooth like in amalgam also, because that is the one that will provide good resistance against fracture. And this is gold. So you know what, with direct gold, minimal must be the preparation. You cannot use gold for very, very extensive preparation. Direct gold, ha? Because let's say, for example, the cavity preparation goes really big. Baka you have to choose indirect gold that is fabricated in the laboratory. But if it is direct gold, because it's too soft, the 24 karat gold, you cannot use 24 karat gold restoration in a very large cavity prep. Okay, kasi magpa-fracture. So again, just to clarify, these are the features for the resistance form: flat pulpal floor, smooth walls without sharp corners, enamel supported by dentin, minimal cavity preparation with, okay, and the dentin support. So the restoration must be in the dentin. The seat of the restoration is in the dentin, not in the enamel. And to add more, the internal line angles must be sharp, unlike amalgam. Okay? And then for the retention, what about the retention form? So the retention form, if it is class 5 or class 1, there will be some areas wherein there will be undercuts. Some areas should have the undercuts. Example, if it is class 1, so the buccal and the lingual wall, just like in amalgam, must be converging towards the occlusal. Or whenever possible, nearly parallel walls. Okay, so the nearly parallel walls would assist in the retention form. Okay, and then see that for the retention form also, it's very important that the internal line angles must be sharp, because this will help retain the restorative materials. And to add, okay, for the gold, we need to bevel the margins. Okay, so you need to bevel the margin. Let's say, for example, this is our cavity prep. Isn't it for amalgam? The cabo surface margin for amalgam is 90 degrees, right? Butt joint. But here, no, you need to bevel. So bevel the cavity margins. By how much? At least 0.2 mm in width. Because when you fill it up with gold, let's say, for example, this is now the gold. See this? The very thin gold overlying the bevel, this is burnishable. It will help assist in sealing the margins. So you need bevel for the gold. So anong problema with amalgam? Why can't we make bevels with amalgam? Kasi with amalgam, di ba, when amalgam becomes thin, amalgam is brittle. So whenever amalgam becomes thin, like when you do the bevel, this flash will fracture. But for the gold, gold is ductile, gold is malleable. So therefore, thin gold can better adapt, unlike amalgam. So don't forget that. Okay, gold, direct gold, you need the bevel. Okay, you need the bevel. Yan. So for the convenience form, so similar, convenience form for direct gold, you need to provide good convenience form so that later on when you do the condensation or when you remove the carries, the remaining carries, you can get access and visibility. Actually, after all, diba, convenience form is for access and visibility. Okay? Yan. And then just to give you a preview, no? Kasi kanina we talk about the condensation, right? Just to continue that, whenever you're filling up the cavity preparation using the gold, there will be some steps. So the initial is the one that I mentioned earlier. Pero the step-by-step procedure is this. So the first step in filling the cavity is build up of the restoration. When you say build up of the restoration, the first step is tie formation. So when you say tie formation, it involves, diba, the first increment of gold is this, no? So after condensing here, you need to connect the two opposing point angles. So when you condense it here, yan. So that's what we call tie formation. Condensing to connect the two point angles with the gold, tie formation. Now, the next step after connecting or filling the two opposing point angle is banking the walls. So when you say banking the walls, you are condensing to fill up and cover the walls, the buccal wall, the mesial wall, the distal wall, okay, up to the cover surface margin with direct gold. And then after that, there will be shoulder formation. This means connecting the two opposing walls with the direct gold material to completely fill the restoration on top. So again, you start on the inside, tie formation, fill up the walls, banking, connect two opposing walls, shoulder formation. So these are the steps in filling up the cavity. Now, after filling up the cavity, then the next step is paying, not by the patient. So paying of the restoration means overfilling the preparation. So when you fill with the gold, just like in amalgam, you need to overfill the cavity prep. Okay? And what they recommend is when you are doing the overfilling, like here, use gold foil down on the surface. And the condenser is the largest condenser on the surface. Now, after you overfilled, what's the next step now? The next step is the surface hardening of the restoration. Beat the gold. So how do we do the surface hardening? Kasi you know what? What's good about the gold? Gold is even made stronger by beating it. Actually, it should be like gold, say. Okay? So the more you encounter problem, the more the earth beats you, the stronger